What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the MikeyLo Show. No intro music yet. We'll get there. But we're gonna have some fun with this and see how it goes. This episode is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. Use promo code MikeyLo when making your initial deposit at Thrive Fantasy, and they will match your initial deposit up to $100. If you guys haven't played at Thrive before, it's pretty fun. It's like daily fantasy sports for player props, so you can do like house props where you bet against the house, or you can enter contests against other humans where they'll give you like 10 props to pick over or under on, and then your total score. Um, you're competing against like the other people in the contest to see who has the highest total score and wins the cash. So it can be fun. It can be interesting, and hey, it's a free $100, so you can't beat that. Um, Appreciate you guys joining me. Hopefully, we have a good time with it here. Plan on doing this just once a week. Just another way for you guys to kind of just a way for me to talk about sports. It's what I like to do. I used to go on the Bearded Betters podcast kind of regularly, and that hasn't been happening lately. So I just want to get a microphone in my hand and talk about sports gambling. And if you guys want to listen, that'd be great. We're trying to get this going maybe once a week or so. If it goes well, maybe a second time a week, and figure out a way to release it as a podcast as well. But just kind of have some fun with it. So appreciate you guys tuning into it. Leading off, number one story in the land of MikeyLo bets right now is, of course, NFL pass attempts. Nothing as exciting as exciting as betting on NFL pass attempts. We had Geno Smith over 33 and a half attempts last night in the Thursday night game, and that cashed easy for us. So if you're not betting pass attempts right now, what the heck is the matter with you? Because we are having a good time with it. I've got my pass attempt model tracking pulled up on the screen here for those of you that are following along on YouTube. And with last night's win, the model leans have improved to 32 and 12 on the season, tracking at 2 units. That's uh, plus 35.2 units on the year for the model. I mean, I will admit, hand up, I didn't catch on to just how good this model was doing until a week or two ago, or I would have been more obnoxious about it on Twitter earlier in the year. But yeah, 1-0 last night, 5-1 last week, 2-0 week 13, 3-0 week 12. It's just been crushing it. 3-0 week 10, 3-1 week 9. Just a wild run that the model has been on. I like betting pass attempts because I don't know. I feel like the Lions just kind of take uh, the quarterback into account, but not so much the defense, not so much the game script. So it's kind of lower variance, and when you see how teams typically attack certain defenses and how you think a game will go, there's an opportunity to take advantage. And it's a smaller market, right? So there's fewer eyes on it, which always works to our advantage where we can find an edge there. So model is going to have some lean. We got one official play locked in for Saturday that I'm about to share with you guys, but there should be some action on Sunday as well. So follow me on Twitter. Stay tuned for that. But do have one play for tomorrow that I want to get into. Yeah, we have three NFL games on Saturday. It's that time of the year as you get down to the end of the year where they start to um, hit you with more games on Saturdays. So that's always enjoyable. More football is a good thing, right? So the play that I'm rolling with for tomorrow is Matt Ryan. We actually got it on. I posted it on Patreon a couple days ago at over 33 and a half passing attempts. One of the advantages of being on the Patreon is we do beat the closing line quite consistently. Sometimes in small markets we may be moving the lines, and other times we're just on the same side as other people with deep pockets, and the lines do move. So in this case, we got Matt Ryan at over 33 and a half. I believe the line has moved, at least at one point it did move to 34 and a half. I see that's what props.cash has listed as the line right now is 34 and a half. Either way, strong play according to the model. If you look at his data here, and again, it doesn't take much for lines to move with a small market like pass attempts. So if we're all hitting it at once, it kind of makes sense that it'll move. But in any event, if you look at just Ryan, he's gone over this total 8 of his last 11, and it looks like, 7 of his last 9. And it's a great matchup for them. It's in a dome, so we don't have to worry about weather. They're a dog. I think they're catching about 4 points right now. If you look at the opponent, we attacked Minnesota last week as well. We had Jared Goff over on pass attempts when they were playing the Vikings, and that one cashed easy for us as well. Teams really attack Minnesota through the air. You can see second fewest opponent pass attempts per game at 37.5 for Minnesota, and if you're just looking at the last 3 games as well, they lead the league at 45.3 with the most pass attempts per game. I think I just said fewest. I meant most. Second most pass attempts per game, Minnesota. At the same token, if you look at rushing defense, give me a second to pull it up here if you're following along on YouTube. Rushing attempts per game. You can see Minnesota kind of near the bottom there at 13 at 26.5. So teams are definitely attacking them more through the air. And if you look at last 3, that's been going down as well. 22.3 over the last 3 games for Minnesota. So about 3 fewer rush attempts per game than their yearly average. What is that, like 6th or 7th on the year over the last 3? So teams are attacking Minnesota through the air. Indianapolis should be no exception. They're number 6 in the league in pass attempts per game, and they have the 9th fewest rushing attempts per game. In terms of plays per game, both teams are top 11. Indy's number 10, Minnesota's number 11. And they both play at a fast pace. They're both top 10 in terms of seconds per play. Minnesota's number 7, and Indianapolis is number 8. So a lot leaning in the direction of liking it over here for Matt Ryan. So we're going to ride with it. Hopefully it'll cash for us, but they're a dog. They're in a dome. It's a strong matchup for us. It's a team that likes to throw the ball against a defense that teams like to attack through the air because it's tough to run on Minnesota. So we're going to give that one a go and see how that goes. And we should have some more pass attempt plays on Sunday as well. So stay tuned for that. Let's get into turn the page here. Let's get into the FCS quarterfinals. Sorry, guys, I keep looking out the window. We're getting a lot of snow here in Illinois. I saw a coyote running through the backyard in the snow a few minutes ago, and that was pretty cool. So I am a little distracted. It's pretty out there. 'Tis the season, I suppose. FCS football semifinals. We've got North Dakota State hosting Incarnate Word tonight. And then tomorrow, probably game of the year, we've got Montana State heading to Brookings to take on South Dakota State. So that should be a great matchup as well. For those of you that are following me on Patreon, you know I already did get down on Montana State. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I also did put a unit on a teaser where I teased North Dakota State down to a pick. With Montana State up to 14.5 at the time. So we'll start briefly with just talking about the game tonight, North Dakota State. They're in the Fargo Dome, really tough place to play. They are banged up, the Bison. Look, the Bison, they pretty much win the FCS every year. This year's team is not as good as past Bison teams, in my opinion. In fact, I am pretty sure whoever wins the Montana State-South Dakota State game tomorrow will be the team that I back in the national championship game against the winner of North Dakota State and UIW. I do think that the 2 best teams are playing tomorrow, so the winner of that game should be favored. But when you want to look at tonight's matchup, look, the Bison, they still got they're beat up, but they still have one strong running back left with Kobe Johnson. Demerick Williams left last week with an injury. Hunter Lepke's out for the year. They're banged up, but they still got that big offensive line, and they still got Kobe Johnson, who's rushing for 7 yards per carry on the year. Look, you can see against Montana, they ran for 10.8 yards per carry. Against North Dakota, 6.6. Western Illinois, 8.2. Indiana State, 6.5. I mean, they're averaging over 6 yards a carry on the year. Now, they're playing an Incarnate Word team that is one of those teams where it's like they put up a ton of points, but they don't stop anyone. They're in the Southland Conference. You can see last week they won in a game where they gave up 738 total yards and 333 yards on the ground to Sac State. So They've improved their defense a little bit this year compared to last year when they had Cameron Ward over there, but still they give up a lot of yards, a lot of points, and they haven't played it. And they're in the Southland Conference, which is not um, it's a step down. It's a step down from the Big Sky and a step down from the Missouri Valley Conference. Those are the two best conferences in the FCS, and I don't think there's much debate on that. I think even the people in the CAA would agree with me on that. Now that James Madison has moved on to the FBS, so I just don't think Incarnate Word's going to get the stops. Like they'll put up some points. Lindsey Scott's a good quarterback. The problem is, I think the strength of the North Dakota State defense is kind of their secondary. They got some dudes in the secondary, so I think North Dakota State is capable of getting some stops. I don't know that Incarnate Word's capable of getting any stops, but I'm hesitant to play the over just because I think NDSU could be kind of grinding it out, clock control, like long drives, which aren't great for the over. But I just don't think Incarnate Word's going to get the stop. So I do like the Bison to win that game outright. And then tomorrow, I'm on Montana State, kind of every which way. So hopefully that doesn't bite me. I put out a bet for 2 units on their spread at plus 6.5 when it opened. It briefly moved to 7.5 for some weird reason. It's then pretty quickly shot down to 5.5, and that's where it's sitting right now. And like I said, I also teased them with North Dakota State to get up to 14.5. And I threw a few dollars on their money line as well. When you look at this matchup, look, we've talked about Montana State a lot. They're a really fun team to watch. Um, Two quarterback system, Tommy Malott, touchdown Tommy from Butte, Montana. Tough kid, fast kid. And Sean Chambers, the transfer quarterback from Wyoming. He'll run over you. Malott will run around you. They have Isaiah Fonzie back. He was their stud running back from last year where he ran for 1,600 yards. He just came back. He missed all the regular season and just came back for the postseason, where he's really been crushing it. I think he's going for about 10 yards a carry in the two postseason games. Again, they've been rolling. Let's see if we have it here on Phil Steele. They don't have last week. He went for 10 for 91 in the first playoff game against Weber State. I think he did even better last week against William and Mary. I don't have those stats in front of me. But this is a team that's just running the heck out of the ball. Now, they do have to go on the road. They do have to go to Brookings. South Dakota State doesn't have the best home field fan support advantage, unfortunately. Not like a Montana State, or North Dakota State, or maybe North Dakota State from a few years ago. They're kind of getting complacent, kind of getting spoiled with winning every year. But South Dakota State has a tough time selling out the stadium, unfortunately. Great team, well balanced team. Number one rush defense in the FCS, going up against the number one rush offense in Montana State. So that'll be a fun matchup to watch. But if you look at South Dakota State last week in Holy Cross, a game against Holy Cross, a Patriot League team, they gave up 261 yards on the ground. They won by 21. They covered, but that's a little misleading because that was a close game for a while. And you look, they gave up 6.1. That's such an outlier. But it's concerning that it was last week. They gave up 6.1 yards per carry last week on 261 yards. And if you look at the box score, it was the quarterback doing it. Saluka, 26 carries for 213 yards, a tutty, and 8.2 yards a carry. Well, what does Montana State do? They run their quarterbacks. They run their quarterbacks really well. So is South Dakota State going to be susceptible to that again this week? I'm sure they'll tighten it up a little bit, but I do think that's a cause for concern for the Jackrabbits. It's going to be a fun game. I just think the Bobcats are playing at such a high level right now. They're playing their best football by a wide margin right now, whereas South Dakota State's been consistent and good throughout the year. Montana State's gotten a lot better as the year has gone on. I think they're the healthiest they've been all year right now. I think they're playing their best football right now, and I like them to figure out a way to win it tomorrow in what should be a really fun game. So I am riding with the Bobcats, and if you want to give me 6.5 or in a teaser 14.5, I am more than happy to take those points. Because I think they have the better offense, and I think they will figure out a way to come out on top tomorrow. So it should be a fun game. Check that one out on ESPN tomorrow at 3 p.m. Last thing I want to touch on, again, I want to keep these brief, so you can just watch them on your lunch break or listen to them while you're driving home or something like that. I want to keep them around 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops. So where are we at right now? We're at about 15. Perfect. So the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is NBA rebounds. Friday nights are fun nights for NBA. Usually have most teams in action. I do have an NBA rebound model as well that's released daily on the Patreon, and it's doing very well as well. You can see in December here, 51 wins, 39 losses. Tracking at 1 unit, it's up 6.36 units if you were to just blindly tail the model leans. And since I did release it earlier than I probably should have in November, so if you track all of November, I ended up going 87 to 78 that month. But I even said this is kind of just a soft opening. We don't have enough data at this time for the model to be really effective. But if you look at kind of the midpoint, since the midpoint of November, November 14th, the model leans are 128 and 99, which is plus 14.36 units tracking at 1 unit, and hitting 56.39%. So those of you that know gambling know, what 56.39% means over the course of over 200 plays. So that is exciting, and it's encouraging that it's getting better from November to December, because that's what the model should be doing as it accumulates more data at this point in the season. So that is encouraging. I do have 2 plays tonight. I'll give one out here on the show. Might add a third one later as well. So make sure you're following me on Twitter at MikeyLo Bets. But the one I'm rolling with tonight is Jarrett Allen. I tweeted it out 2 days ago when Bam Adebayo's bet one for us. I am 8-0 on official plays this year involving Bam Adebayo or Jarrett Allen. So let's not mess with the streak. They've done us well, so let's stick with them. Let's go with Jarrett tonight. If you look at the matchup, I love playing matchups with big men because I think it's less variable. They're playing Indiana. Slight, I guess, blowout potential. I think the spread is 7, but, single digits. Hopefully the Pacers can keep it close. But if you look at Indiana versus centers, they lead the league in points allowed to centers. And rebounds, they are second in the league in rebounds allowed. So great matchup for Jarrett. I'm rocking with Jarrett Allen to record a double-double tonight. I think the juice I got was, what did I get, guys? 125. I think minus 125 is what I ended up laying on that one. But you can see this year, he hasn't played Indiana yet, but against similar teams that give up similar numbers to big men like OKC and LA and Charlotte, he's done very well. 3 games ago against OKC, he went for 21 and 11. Against the Lakers, he went for 24 and 11. Against Charlotte, he went for 20 and 12. Against LA earlier, he went for 16 and 11. So he's eaten against these teams that give up big numbers to centers. And if you look at it, he by going double-double, his rebound line is 10.5, so I like the idea of going double-double and then only needing to get the 10 rebounds instead of the 11th rebounds. So being able to cut down by 1 rebound on that line, I think is beneficial to us. And I think 10 points, if he's going to get 10 rebounds, you got to think 10 points is pretty likely. So I'm comfortable taking that bet with him. If you want to go back to last year when he played Indiana, played him 3 games. He went for 22 and 14, 15 and 17, and 18 and 11. So the guy puts up numbers against Indiana, and I really see no reason why that will stop tonight. So I'm rolling with Jarrett Allen tonight to achieve a double-double, and hopefully he stays hot with that. We'll end it right there, guys. I appreciate those of you that do watch. Bear with me. We'll get better with this, but my goal is to make this kind of a weekly thing and continue to work with it. Get it out there as a podcast once I can figure out how to do that as well. So thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I know everybody says that, but for me, just starting out, I'm sure that will be helpful to me and beneficial to me with the algorithms and all that nonsense. So thank you guys very much. Have a great weekend. Let's cash tonight, and we will see you guys next time. Take it easy.